Let's face it, good service alone isn't enough anymore. Shoppers expect more than problem solving. They want discovery, inspiration, and experiences that feel personal and authentic. And when retailers get this right, ATV goes up.
This episode is all about shifting from reactive service to proactive experience creation. We'll explore how retailers can rewrite their front lines to think like salespeople without sacrificing authenticity and customer care.
I hire for passion and I hire for communication skills, and I can teach retail. I can teach our processes.
Yeah.
I can tell you how to use the till. You've got to get your staff out of the mindset of thinking everyone's like them with their budget or their salary or their paycheck.
Yeah.
Approach customers as if you were meeting them at a barbecue. Have that experience, talk to them like that. That to me is a kind of coaching, natural.
Welcome to Season 2, Retail Leaders. This is the Retail Razor Data Blades, the podcast that slices through complex retail research to deliver sharp, actionable insights you can use today. I'm Ricardo Belmar.
And I'm Casey Golden. In our last two episodes, we dug into conversion and loyalty with Gareth Johns from TruRating. Today, Gareth is back to tackle another critical metric that every retail executive should be paying attention to: average transaction value, or ATV.
Because let's face it, good service alone isn't enough anymore. Shoppers expect more than problem solving. They want discovery, inspiration, and experiences that feel personal and authentic. And when retailers get this right, ATV goes up.
Exactly. This episode is all about shifting from reactive service to proactive experience creation. We'll explore how retailers can rewrite their front lines to think like salespeople without sacrificing authenticity and customer care.
Gareth will share proven strategies to increase ATV, improve staff performance, and build a sales culture rooted in empowerment, not pressure. We'll talk about why hiring just to get the job done can actually hurt sales potential, and how lean staffing or misaligned metrics can hold teams back.
And here's where it gets really interesting. Data on the floor. Gareth will explain how real-time behavior and outcome metrics can help frontline staff create more meaningful customer interactions, and how retailers are using TruRating insights to boost ATV in measurable ways.
So if you're a retail executive looking to unlock more value from every transaction, empower your teams, and scale a culture of proactive selling, this is the episode for you. But before we dive in, a quick favor: if you're enjoying the show, hit us with a 5-star rating and drop a short review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Good Pods, or wherever you're listening.
And don't forget to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel so you never miss a minute.
Plus, check out our other shows in the Retail Razor Podcast Network: The Retail Razor Show, Retail Transformers, and Blade to Greatness. You'll find them all in your favorite podcast app or together on our YouTube channel.
Now let's raise our data blades and welcome back Gareth Johns, Chief Data Officer of TruRating, to the show.
Welcome to the Retail Razor Data Blades, Gareth. We're excited to have you join us again to share more incredible insights based on TruRating's amazing customer data to round out this 3-part series today.
Hi, thanks for having me back yet again.
So Gareth,
3 for 3.
3 for 3. Today we're focusing on a huge topic that every retailer would probably admit to losing sleep over on a regular basis: ATV, AOV, the average transaction value. On a recent TruRating webinar, if I remember correctly, you said that retail isn't just about solving problems anymore, it's about igniting discovery. What's behind this evolution, and how has customer expectations shifted from good service to experience-led retail in this context?
Yes, I think what we've seen is that I think for a lot of retailers coming out of COVID, there was a real kind of shift away. Right after COVID, staffing was a problem, right? Lots of people got laid off. They maybe came back thinking this could happen again. Retail's not really that COVID protected. I'm going to go do something else. So I think in that kind of, it's hard to remember the years, but maybe 2021, 2022, that all the focus from our retailers was around getting the right types of staff into store. Like just how do you fill the positions? And then how do you get people that really understand retail? And I've got one teenager left at home, but I think that whole kind of concept of you employ people that maybe haven't got the greatest communication skills as well. I think what a lot of our retailers are seeing is that they've ended up with a more of a service mindset. As a salesperson or as a member of staff in the store, my job is to serve the customer, and I do some of the things that need to be done, but I maybe don't do the final things that really impact on ATV. So I guess when I was saying about it's not just about serving the customer, almost every retailer we work with has got some sort of sales approach. They're all 4 or 5 step processes. They've all got cool kind of acronyms linked to their business. Generally, the first 2 stages are very service based. Did I say hello? Did I ask you why you were here? And did I point you in the direction of whatever it was you needed? Most people are okay at doing that. I guess there are retailers out there that employ people that even that's a challenge. But for most of our retailers have at least shown an interest in better customer experience and therefore are using TruRating, they've managed to at least crack those kind of first 2 stages. I think where we see the drop off in performance and where customers are telling us it doesn't happen so much, are kind of what I was talking about is the shift from service to sales. That's the bit that I think they've really got to focus on improving.
So what are some of the obstacles that retailers face trying to make that move from a service only to a sales and service mindset? Is it primarily a lean staffing issue? Is it misaligned metrics that are undercutting these efforts? And what would you say are the main obstacles?
I think from what we see, it's that there's definitely a communication issue, training issue, a hiring issue. You hire people with maybe retail experience, but you don't hire people that are passionate about your brand, that customers see through that. So I think it starts with hiring the right types of people. And what a lot of our kind of more forward-thinking retailers are saying is, I hire for passion and I hire for communication skills, and I can teach retail. I can teach our processes. Yeah. I can tell you how to use the till. And I think for a while, there was that thing of people were just hiring whoever they could hire, and they hired based on you've got previous retail experience. And I think some of the problems start quite early on in the process, if you like. I think from a salesperson point of view, what some of our other retailers have told us is they're hiring younger people who don't have a lot of cash. And therefore, if they are trying to upsell to a slightly higher range of the brand, or if they're trying to increase the number of items in that basket by talking about the additional products that are available, they're thinking at it with their head of, I couldn't afford this. Like, why would I try and push this on somebody else? Even though that other person might be very grateful for the fact that you just completed their outlook or helped them with their, make the most of their main purchase. So I think, there's a hiring issue, and then there's almost a cultural or kind of mindset issue to get over. And so I don't think it's I don't want to do this or that type of thing. I think it is more that you've got to train people how to do it.
We need a manager that wants to manage. Great managers.
That's
great management leadership.
Yeah, I think that's another thing we see actually is when you see the difference in performance by different stores, what a lot of our retailers will come back to is it's the manager that sets the culture in the store.
Yeah, absolutely.
So if you don't get the right manager in that store that doesn't set the right culture, then it doesn't really matter who you employed. But what we are able to do with that kind of 4 or 5 step process is really say, look, these are all the stores that are doing well at these ones, and this is where you've got the gap. This is where the opportunity lies. It's generally comes down to, did staff make a specific recommendation? And did staff offer additional items in a nice way? I guess is what we're trying to get at, is you don't want somebody just doing the hard sell on, I'm trying to grow my ATV or my average basket size from kind of 1.4 to 1.6. Please take a pair of socks. I don't think that one works as well, but I think if you can do hey, that top would go really well with these jeans or whatever else. This is, a lot of people wear this in this way. We have these additional services. You bought these shoes, you really need to protect them. This is how you do it. Yeah. There are ways to do it that come across as a customer benefit rather than a hard sell.
Exactly.
And I think too much of this is people are worried about the hard sell. Right? They feel like, I don't want to do that hard sell. So you've got to give people the tools to be able to feel confident that that's not what they're doing.
Yeah. Sales has always had a bad name, when it should just be sales is helping.
Right.
And everybody likes to help. Sales is helping. It's not a bad word. Let's talk tactics. What are some definitive ways retailers can cultivate a sales-driven team? And how do you reframe sales KPIs so they inspire rather than intimidate?
So I think that's to some of the points of you've got to you've really got to focus on the benefit to the customer of what you're trying to do, what your staff are trying to do. And you've got to get your staff out of the mindset of thinking everyone's like them with their budget or their salary or their paycheck.
Yeah.
There are people out there that are looking for, I don't want to say validation, that's maybe the wrong word, but maybe it's not. There's the paradox of choice, right? Is this the right choice? Am I buying the right thing for me? So I think the more that a salesperson can be passionate about the brand, knowledgeable about the brand, and can give consumers the confidence that they are making the right choice by buying, those are all great things to be, that as a salesperson, you should be proud that you're doing, right? I know this brand really well. I'm really passionate about it, and I can share my knowledge with customers and make them feel great about what they just bought. But if you can reframe it in those ways, then I think you can get staff to do those things. If you position it as you've got a target of 1.8 items per sale, push the socks, then I think, that's where it falls to pieces. So our starting point is always, we can tell you where it's working and where it's not working, which categories it's working in, which stores it's working or not working in. From a retailer point of view, then we're really reliant on our retailers to have the playbook of, okay, this is either a problem across my estate, I really need to reframe what I'm asking my staff to do, or this is a problem in a subset of stores, I really need to look at some of my managers and the culture.
Yeah. And how do you see frontline staff leveraging data to have more of these meaningful interactions? Are there particular behavioral outcome metrics that store managers, store leaders should really be watching? And do you have any examples of a retailer who used TruRating data really to help them boost ATV in this way?
Yeah. So I think when we talk about ATV, there's generally two things that you can do, right, to impact that. You can either get customers to trade up through the range to a more expensive item, or you can get them to add the items, complete the look. And I think there's slight differences in those. So one of our footwear retailers, they sell trainers at $100, they sell trainers at $200. They have to be able to explain to the customer why the $200 trainer is worth so much more than the $100 trainer. So talking about products in terms of the benefits rather than the features has been a really big push for them. That's part of their training. And what they use TruRating for is to understand whether or not they're doing that well. They have a training program so that everyone in their business goes through, they learn about the brands, they learn about the shoes. They should be able to talk about the benefits of any particular shoe. But then what we can give them is the ability to measure, did a customer feel like, did that come through to the customer and did it not? So that's, I think, where they're using data to understand things that matter. And some of that is about the product. Some of it is about understanding the customer need and linking those benefits to that customer need. And then some of it is just about building enough rapport to have that as a natural conversation. So actually what the retailer worked out was that if I get to the point where I'm on first name basis with the customer, if I've taken the time to understand what they're buying, and if I've given them 3 benefits of the products that are relevant to what they're buying, those are the 3 things that will get me to the $200 trainer versus the $100 trainer. So I think all we can do is measure, right? The retailer already knows the kind of strategy of, or they can test at least the strategy of these things work and these things don't work. We can share best practices of what we've seen in one place that might be relevant in another place. But as a TruRating tool, most of it is actually about giving people the data of, rather than thinking you've got a problem everywhere, where have you actually got the challenge? Because then you can focus your efforts and you can make an improvement. So that's, I think, the trading up side of it. And then, the average basket size is your staff have to be able to authentically talk about how to complete the look or what products go well together. And I guess, you could use data to say when people buy this item, they quite often buy that item. We can look at, you don't really need TruRating data to do that. Most retailers have got the data that they can use to say these things quite often get bought well together. So maybe all my staff should know that, so that if somebody buys one thing, they can offer the other. Or I can range my store and lay out my store in a different way that makes that kind of outfit buying a much more obvious thing to customers. Those are things that can grow average basket size. They're probably things that are less to do with the data. For those is available to retailers already. They don't need us for that. What we can help with is much more, how did the interaction go? And did the staff actually make use of that data in a way that led them to the right place?
How does this coaching first mindset fuel performance? What's the difference between managing to tasks and coaching to outcomes?
I think I guess it comes down to what we were saying about, if you manage to a KPI, that's really difficult because you're just pushing somebody on a do these things, and it just doesn't come across as authentic to a customer. I think a customer can tell when the member of staff doesn't really believe in what they're doing. So I think you've got to get the people that are passionate about the brand and actually will come across as authentic to customers about that brand. Because as a consumer, you know who you trust and who you don't trust, and whether they know what they're talking about, and whether you feel confident in what they're saying or not. So I think, coaching staff on this is a benefit you're giving to customers, not you're giving to the retailer at the expense of the customer. And this is the way that you do it that feels great for everybody, rather than this is the way that you do it because it's written as a task. I think it's really important. And I think retailers that are willing to give, especially in kind of fashion, footwear, the ones that are willing to allow the staff to bring in some of their own personality seem to be the ones that do that better. So that is more of a coaching. If you say, we've got one retailer that talks about approach customers as if you were meeting them at a barbecue. Have that experience, talk to them like that. That to me is a kind of coaching, natural, allow each member of staff to do it their own way. Mm-hmm. If it is greet the customer within 30 seconds with the following script, like that doesn't work. So I think it's the difference between those two. What
would your one piece of advice be to anyone in our audience listening or watching who wants to kind of start down this transformation tomorrow, and how can TruRating help them?
I would say, to begin with, a bit like we talked about with the loyalty stuff, I just think having a target is knowing where you are and knowing where you think you can get to is a really important point to start, right? So I'm at these many items per basket. Am I pushing for more items in the basket, or have I got an opportunity to get a higher percentage of my customers trading up to a more expensive item? I think knowing where you're heading rather than just saying, I'd like to grow ATV by 10% is important. And then I think for a lot of retailers, especially I'm thinking more the kind of, I guess, the speciality and the fashion footwear side, some of it goes back to how you hire, right? So that's maybe not a quick fix. That's how do I think about this in the future, and how do I hire the right people, or how do I at least coach the people that I've got in the right way so that they have more confidence in doing certain things. I guess that would be, doesn't feel like I can start tomorrow and I'll get results on Friday, but it at least feels like those are the things that actually seem to matter most for growing ATV. There are certain things that if the store's laid out poorly, if products aren't in the right place, if it's hard to get around, all those things will definitely impact on ATV because people will miss one or two items that they might otherwise have bought. So if you're in grocery, if you're in big box kind of discount retail, the racks and racks of products where people just go in and help themselves, then it's a lot less about that kind of staff point, which we've been talking about. And it's much more about, is the store easy to navigate? Have I actually got the products that people are after? Can I make sure the store is clean so that I get the best opportunity to grow basket size? But I think for where I guess most of this conversation has been, if you're talking about the role that staff can play, then I think it comes down to conversion, to hiring and coaching, really. And those are maybe not short-term fixes.
Yeah, Gareth, this has been a fantastic discussion on ATV. I love how store teams have a strong impact on these outcomes. It does always come back to people, regardless of the tech and the KPIs. We need the people. I really appreciate you sharing such impactful data-driven insights with us today. And thank you so much for joining us and joining this great journey across conversion, loyalty, and ATV.
Thank you very much for having me. It's been a great chat.
And for our listeners or viewers today that haven't checked out the first 2 episodes of this season, you definitely want to go back and catch those episodes with Gareth. So Gareth, again, thanks for bringing so many insights to the show in this 3-part series. It's been a pleasure. I'm looking forward to having you back.
Great. Thanks very much.
Say this episode's a wrap, Ricardo.
It is.
If you enjoyed today's episode, please give us a 5-star rating and review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or Good Pods. And don't forget to hit subscribe on your favorite podcast app or on YouTube so you never miss an episode. I'm Casey Golden.
We'd love to hear from you. Follow us and share your feedback at Retail Razor on LinkedIn, Blue Sky, Threads, and Instagram. You can also subscribe to our Substack newsletter for highlights from every episode, and visit retailrazor.com for transcripts and more details about our guests. Data Blades is part of the Retail Razor Podcast Network. I'm Ricardo Belmar.
Thanks for joining us.
Until next time, stay sharp, be data-driven, and harness AI. This is the Retail Razor Data Blades.